Okay, welcome back, students. And let's consider this particular um, assignment. So last lesson we looked at separating mixtures, and I gave you a worksheet. And so now we're going to consider answering the questions together with the worksheet. So hopefully you already answered them on your own. And so now we're going to do them together, and hopefully you get everything right. And so we have on this side, we have the different processes. So on this side, we have the five processes that we talked about: evaporating and condensing, decanting, magnetism, filtering, and sieving. Okay. And on this side, we have a description. So which one is correct? Okay. All right. So let's consider. So here we have separates insoluble solids from liquids. So separate insoluble solids from liquids. So we have something that is insoluble, something that's not going to be dissolved into the liquid. So something like sand, right, or rocks, they're not going to be dissolved into the liquid. What we're going to use to separate them, that's definitely filtering. Okay, so filtering is going to be the answer for this one. All right, filtering. So that connect there. Now, separates two liquids which have different weights. That's definitely decanting or decantation. Separates different size solids. So like the the raisins in flour, all right, that would be sieving. Okay, good. Next up, separates soluble solids from liquids. That's definitely going to be evaporation and condensation. So evaporating and condensing. Okay, evaporating and condensing. That's separating soluble like solids from liquids. So something like salt and water, sugar and water is evaporating and condensing. And then the last one that is left is magnetism, because separating iron and steel from non-magnetic materials. Okay, so that's the answer right there. So hopefully you got everything correct. Okay, hopefully you got everything correct for this one. I remember the different processes that we talked about last time. If you remember clearly, what we talked about last time, we looked at five different processes. We looked at evaporation and condensation, magnetism, filtering, sieving, and decanting, and we discussed them and described them. And so when we go to this next exercise, we're going to be using understanding from this and from the previous lesson to answer them. Okay. Okay, so let's go to our exercise again. Okay, let's go back to it. Okay, good. So with this one, if we're separating salt and water, all right, if we're trying to separate salt and water, we have salt is going to be dissolved in the water. So we have a soluble solid being dissolved into a liquid. So that's definitely evaporation and condensation. Sugar and water, the same thing follows. We have something that is going to be dissolved into the water. So we have a solution. Okay, and so in order to separate solutions, we saw last time was evaporation and condensation. Rice and pasta shapes, those are two different size solids. And so we're going to use sieving for that one. Sand and water. We have sand as an indissolved, that's an insoluble solid. It's not going to be dissolved into the water, so that's definitely filtration. And we have flour and rice. Again, that's two different sized solids. And so that's definitely sieving. And then paper clips and sawdust, we're going to use the magnet for that to collect the paper clips. So definitely magnetism. So hopefully you got everything right. And so that brings us to the end of this video.